Statistically, 1 in 5 of these children will struggle with a mental health concern prior to the age of 10. But looking at your screen, how would we identify which one? How could we ask them? How could they tell us? What if there was a way that we could find that their behavior could speak when their words could not? My name is Bryn Loftness, and I'm the co-founder and CEO of BioBee. Unfortunately, over the last decade, even prior to the pandemic, mental health across the country has been getting worse. That can be measured in terms of suicide rates, in terms of children and adolescents dropping out of school, and in terms of our youngest children reporting sadness or hopelessness. Several national organizations and entities have come together to say, we need help. We need to do more to help these children and ensure that we're helping pediatricians identify these signs of mental health concerns like depression or anxiety as soon as possible. But how do we identify signs of anxiety, depression, or early mental health struggles for children under the age of 10 when they cannot articulate it for themselves? Well, unfortunately, parents aren't mind readers. It's really hard to tell, especially if you're already struggling with wait lists, expenses, understanding what is even normal behavior for my child. There are a lot of barriers to understanding when you should seek additional support. And if parents aren't getting the full story from their child, it's really hard for pediatricians to also plan out those care plans and understand for themselves when intervention might be necessary. We've started learning and really dug into these needs and care areas and pain points for pediatricians to understand what can we do to help. And through talking to hundreds of stakeholders within our domain, we learned that we need more population-level screening that starts prior to the age of 10 and requires pediatricians to get just a little bit more information in those earliest years. We also learned that parents need more support as well. The follow-up from annual screening doesn't always look like another wait list. It doesn't always look like getting additional medication or following up. Sometimes it just means more emotional regulation in the home. And so thus, for physicians at BioBee, we built OAK, the Objective Assessment for Kids, which is a 10-minute biobehavioral screener, meaning we take in vocalization and movement during short tasks, and we utilize that alongside what a parent is reporting on their child's behavior. Together, we can use this information to get a better understanding and mental health risk level over time. For parents, we built Sprout, following up from this annual screening. What is at the end of a wait list if someone is screened positive? Often it looks like cognitive behavioral therapy for the family. And so making sure that that family can reach these services immediately, directly following screening, is what Sprout provides. This dual component system, identified and developed through I-Core and several other development programs, allows us to hit this gap of identifying children early that might be in need and satisfying parental need for robust expertise-based help in the home. These products didn't come out of nowhere. We have 13 publications over the last nearly a decade supporting this work, as well as several pilots at several sites, including our most recent being a multi-site pilot. We have over $2 million in initial funding from the NSF and NIH supporting this work and helping us validate these efforts. We've also been working with business mentors to understand what does the regulatory landscape, the intellectual property landscape, and the reimbursement landscape look like for this screen and intervene system. We've also been doing a lot of network growth. We've been working with different accelerators like here in Equalize to understand what we need to succeed, who do we need on the team, and what can we do to make sure we're doing all we can now. We also have a TEDx talk coming out in a couple of months that's helping us reach additional stakeholders. We're pretty unique in the market as we talk about the competitive landscape. Our primary competitor is pre-existing pediatric screeners. Those already can happen within the pediatric offices currently, but we've shown through BioBee in our proprietary AI models that leverage this biobehavioral data alongside parent report can be more accurate, meaning we can catch more children accurately. There are also other innovators in the early childhood mental health space, thank goodness, but they focus more on intervention in the home rather than screening and intervening at point of care. We have a lot of plans coming up shortly. We're applying to additional non-dilutive grants and already have several supporting us now and supporting us through the next 18 months of de-risking and development through our stakeholder pilots that are happening across the country already and will continue to grow through fall and winter. We also aim to launch Sprout early, as this can serve as kind of an intermediary product, a direct-to-consumer product that doesn't have to go through the regulatory life cycle. We know that this can stand alone, one, to allow us to continue reaching new partners and allow parents to get access to interventions even prior to us being having the opportunity to release Sprout, to release Oak, which will have to go through that FDA process. We know at that 18-month point that non-dilutive funding isn't necessarily all we'll need in terms of capital or in terms of expertise to go through that regulatory process. From what we've learned and what we've heard and talking to actual innovators in the space, it's long and it's difficult. And so finding other innovators that have gone through that is what we're working on now to set us up for success in 18 months. And that will lead us through our launch of Oak. But how many children are we hoping to hit? Well, obviously, we can't unfortunately reach all 20 million children that currently attend annual well visits, about 80% of all children ages 6 to 11. However, based on strategic identification of 22 care sites across the country right here in the US, we believe we can feasibly reach about 10.3 million children. By 2030, based on our current partnerships and continuing to leverage those partnerships year over year, we hope to serve 1 million children by 2030. But how will we get paid? We can't just ride on the coattails of trying to help this mental health crisis. We actually are a business as well to make sure we can sustain these goals. And so we will leverage pre-existing reimbursement codes like CPT code 96130 that reimburses at a rate of approximately $120 per annual screening. BioBee gets a small portion of that, as well as the pediatric office gets a small portion of that. Insurance companies benefit by paying less later on for very expensive, unwanted additional concerns, either through physical health or mental health that come from untreated mental health concerns early in life. And with that, as I said, leveraging our pre-existing partners and our early release of Sprout, we hope to continue reaching different populations effectively and helping this crisis. We have an excellent team aiming to help and that have background in both commercialization of digital health products, which is a growing and evolving landscape. And so we really need that on our founding team. But we also have expertise in child psychiatry, which is so important to have when we're trying to reach these children and talk to pediatricians and care providers about what they need. And we also have the background in technology and in trying to make sure this technology is ethical, is fair, and is built in the most robust but transparent ways, because we're trying to help kids and what's a more vulnerable population. We're also partnered with one of the largest health ecosystems currently in the Southeast that already reaches approximately 1 million children annually. Some people ask why we're located in Vermont and not a place like Boston, but Vermont is actually a really lovely place. I love living in Vermont, and I'm hoping to continue supporting the economy here in our small state. We already have a nonprofit, Bright Futures, that is already bringing expertise and literally writing the textbooks that pediatricians use across the country. And we're hoping to continue to leverage that ecosystem. Thank you so much for being here to support Equalize and to support BioBee. If you have any questions, please feel free to scan this QR code. And thank you so much for your time.